Hello everyone, it's once again me, Doc, from the Fockers. Today I'm going to color the next cover for our original comic, Blessing in Disguise. As you can see in this cover, it's going to be a little bit more explicit what the storytelling is about. So yeah, you see a cat girl on the right, and on the left there's Sam, the protagonist, dressed up as a girl. So, not a lot of news, and we are still working hard on commissions and trying to deliver all the patrons' reward. And speaking of patron rewards, I should also remind you that even with the lower tier, you get access to polls. We have at least 3 polls a month. One that is currently running is about the original comic Blessing in Disguise. We are going to introduce a new character in the story, and let's say it's going to be another animal. And we picked up 5 possible animals to include. Instead of deciding ourselves what this new character should look like, we set up a poll so our audience can tell us which animals they'd rather see. So far, the winners looks like it's going to be the snake. So if you don't like snakes, consider joining Patreon and vote another option. And then other options are a fox from the Far East, a North European seal. I kind of wish the seal won because it's very cute, but doesn't seem to be the case. Other options are a Western African leopard, and then the last one is a dolphin from the Amazonian River. So it's going to be a river dolphin. We carefully choose which animals to include by reading a bit more about folklore stories from around the world. Since the cat girl is one of the protagonists, Honey, we didn't decide to have just an animal turn into a human. We actually read stories about the Japanese folklore, where they have a lot of animals transforming into people. You kind of see that even in anime, mangas, etc. Even like the original Dragon Ball. I mean, there's I forgot the name of the character, the fox that goes along with Pilaf. Well, it's a fox, but it's also a ninja, and I'm pretty sure he transforms sometimes. Oh, there's the raccoon suit in Mario Bros 3, for instance, that Mario turned to stone. And well, I think cat girls in general comes from there, from the Japanese folklore. They're not just random stuff put there. There are many stories revolving animal transforming to human there, particularly foxes. Kitsune is the famous demon fox, also transformed to a beautiful lady. There's the tanuki, the Japanese raccoon dog that transforms to whatever they feel like. There's the Studio Ghibli movie Pompoko. Pompoko is all about the raccoon dog transforming basically into anything, from statues to humans. There's a character from the Muramasa game, which is a Nekomata, that is the two-tailed cat that also transformed to a woman. There are other minor stories, I think one with wolves and with rat, I think. Well, they have a lot of stories, like many folk tales. They're very rich, and yeah, we decided to delve a bit deep into the whole animal transforming into human thing, and we learned that it's not just a Japanese folklore thing. It's more widespread than we originally thought, and we read a bunch of stories. I'm pretty sure there are more than this. So we decided to pick these 5 animals because they are a bit different from one another, both in size, in appearance. Some are from the water, some are not. But yeah, we picked these 5 because they all have some stories involved from the various parts of the world where there is this animal transforming into humans. For instance, the seal is a Scottish or Irish tale from North Europe, where they have the story of the selkie that loses her skin. Well, the selkie is a skinwalker, which are those animals that can literally take off their skin and transform into humans. But to get back to being their former animals, skinwalkers need to wear their own skin again. There's even a story with a bear like that can shed his skin off, and even the leopard we choose is from a Western African tale. There's this beautiful man that is actually a leopard, which take its skin off, and whenever the man put on the skin back, he transforms again into a leopard. The dolphin is not a skinwalker. He is another animal that can turn into a beautiful man and is very good at singing, for instance. The snake and the fox too. The fox is again another Japanese and Korean tale too of this demonic animal that can transform into woman and attract men. Most of these stories, always the animal is some sort of demon or anyway evil. But we didn't feel like to add the evil part to our story because, let's say, if those stories were true, probably they were written from the human perspective. So it's very likely that anything that isn't human is seen as evil. I remember for instance, all the movies, Hollywood movies about cowboys and such, where the Indians, the Native American people, were seen as the evil part in those stories. So I kind of have this approach with these stories too. Yeah, in some of them the animals are just they're mending their business. Sometimes they're more mischievous, like the tanuki. So yeah, we want to try to include the animal point of view to our story. This is why we didn't include the werewolves and the other shaman that can transform into animal. There are a lot of stories of people that get transformed into animal through some curse, for instance. The werewolf is always, not always, but is often a sort of curse. So it's always a man that can transform into an animal, into a wolf. The Native American shamans, for instance, and the Siberian too, have some sort of rituals to get into the animal or a shaman that can actually transform into an animal, and there are plenty more that I don't remember now on the top of my head. But yeah, this is why we didn't include the werewolf, for instance, which is kind of the first thing that comes to mind for people when thinking about this sort of transformation. But there is a reason why they're not here and why we don't want them in our story. As I mentioned, we specifically looked for stories and folk tales where there's the animal that is transforming into a human or even other stuff. It's going to be to get a pretty interesting development in the story. I hope patrons and fans like it. So yeah, this is it for now. Remember to ask all your questions in the comments below if you wish, and join our Patreon to get involved more with the story development itself through polls. And see you next time. Bye!